mean,
It is. Though I have been told I sometimes leave people feeling like they don't know where they stand when I'm joking around a lot or being silly. That
well,
could actually play a quite a important part in if you're welcoming people into a workplace and they didn't know, you know, what you were like.
nice segue there, Bucko. So, for those that catch this later on or in chat right now, my organization, we today is onboarding day for co-op students. It's kind of like a internship, but and I led the onboarding this morning, and I was joking around a little bit, and
Daniel being Daniel.
these ladies and gentlemen were looking at me like, I don't know if I should laugh along with these jokes or is he kidding?
First day nerves, right?
Right.
This
No.
guy's kind of my boss. And
Not kinda.
well, I am.
And it is. Yes, I do not blame them at all for giving me these looks like first day jitters and all this. So anyway, it was fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I'll probably have to have a conversation with them again and be like, okay.
It's a careful balance.
Yeah.
Well, as everyone's joining us, this week is going to be different. Daniel and I looked at the number of messages and we thought, wouldn't it be great if we did an episode calling back? You know, the callback section we used to try and build into our weekly messages where we'd look and try and find something that had landed. Well, we're going to put the whole episode towards that because things did land in April.
They did indeed land. So we're going to go through quite a few of these and kind of just demonstrate and talk about, what we've seen, the implications, and we'd like to, for those that are in chat, would love to hear your thoughts as well. So, and if you're catching this recording, then put it in the comments down below. We'd like to engage with you ongoing, and give us your thoughts on these changes and how you're implementing them.
Yep, it's going to be a good episode. Well, it's about that time. Let's hit the intro. There you go.
Good morning, everyone, and afternoon.
And good
and
afternoon, and potentially good evening for those in Europe.
For sure. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 365 Message Center Show, episode number 238. And this is going to be a different one.
Yep.
This is going to be all about we're in May now. Oh my goodness, we're in May. And this is going to be about demonstrating and talking about items, features, changes that have landed in April, so this past month, and would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on these. So if you're live in the chat with us, we'd love to see those in the live chat. Put them in the comments if you're catching the recording, and share us on social. We are 365 MCS on all the socials, so love to see and engage with you there. Just tag us. We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions, and if we can help in any way, let us know. So
yeah, we
hello,
enjoy
Darrell.
preparing you for change,
Yes.
don't we, Daniel? But we also like to look and see how did that change land within your organization. Sometimes
100%.
it just appears. These days, even though we get a bit of a warning, sometimes things appear and we're, what is this and how do I use that? And a few support tickets later and everyone has figured out what it is. And other times you get a bit more warning, you can prepare for change, you can adjust your learning material, as the message sometimes says. Yeah.
For sure.
So 6 messages today, Daniel. And we'll look back on those messages, we'll see what it said, we'll demonstrate a little bit of it.
Indeed.
And talk about how our opinions and how things have landed and how they run.
Exactly. And I would upvote that if you had put that in Yammer.
You would. Well, that's probably quite appropriate, Daniel, because the first message is all about Yammer and upvotes. Go ahead.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Skills,
who
man.
Who would have thought that's what the first one was? So this one is something we talked about. All of them really are, but this one is questions and answers in Yammer, upvoting answers, MC334276, and this was published in February 18th. And this feature is bringing that ability to take, when you ask a question in Yammer and you have answers, then people can come along and upvote those answers. And then you, as a post original asker that asked the question, can go in and mark the best answer. So this should be rolled out to everyone. Have rolled out fully earlier last month. So let's just dive in and take a look at what this is and what that experience is for your users.
Let's flip that over and get rid of that message.
So here we are in Yammer, in new Yammer, and this is the operations community. And I am Megan, and Megan, I was about to talk about myself in third person there. I am Megan, and so I asked this question of, do we have information on this new model DC 1000? And someone answered. So what Yammer has done as a first run type of experience for me, I haven't acknowledged this yet. It has said, hey, you can now vote on items, upvote items that people have put in as answers for your question. So it's just right here. I can say I can upvote that, and that's anyone. Anyone can come in and upvote those comments, those answers to your questions. But since I asked the question, I could also mark this as the best answer. And it could be that there's several answers that are good, but maybe I want to mark the first one that was the best one, or maybe of all of them, this is the best one. In this case, it is just the only answer, but it is the best answer because it gave it to me. So I'm going to check that box. And what that means is it's going to show for me, show as the first one for, others come in and give answers. That's great. There could be a conversation here. That's fantastic, whatever. But know that best answer is going to be showing up at the top there. So everyone can see the question and see the answer right away, which is awesome. The only thing I think I would caution people doing is when you're marking best answer is to make sure it makes sense in context. Meaning, if someone's coming in, they put an answer in, or they put a comment in, which was a comment to something that's part of the answer. If you mark the thing down below as the best answer, then when I come into this and it says, maybe I mark the best answer as, yes, that's exactly the location. And that's what the comment was, because just confirming that that's what the location was. Then when I come and look at this and go, wait, what's the answer is, yes, that's the location. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Just remember the context as, when people are coming in and they see this, that it makes sense. So that should be live for those of you that are using Yammer. And maybe this is one of those, I think it's a really big use case for Yammer. Is this question and answer, and bringing this upvoting and bringing this best answer, marking the best answer is a great feature that maybe this is something you want to look at if you're not using Yammer, or you're not using this functionality very much in Yammer. Maybe a community around questions and answers would be something that you would want to fire up in your organization. What do you think, Darrell?
What I like about this is it helps the crowd who is answering the question to signal what they think is the best answer. It's still in control of the person who asked the question to mark as best answer, but as the conversation continues, that if there's any opinion involved, or maybe people are trying to signal their experience that, yep, I had that too, agreed, then it bumps it further up. And it also helps the person who asked the question to find that best answer, because best answer puts it to the top, but upvoting also raises it up the list. And then sometimes through conversation, best answer might change. So yeah, maybe that'd be the case. But it saves a lot of time, doesn't it, Daniel, when people are looking for answers and they go through search and Yammer results come up, and if the answer's right there, then it's super helpful.
100%. And I think more and more organizations will start using this functionality, because it really is that nice way to get that organizational information in the hands of people, right? So for sure,
exactly.
Yep.
All right. Well,
so let's. I'd like to hear more of how you would report on that and present information.
Yeah, potentially. You could report on
that,
like
was a terrible
newscaster.
Transition.
I'm trying to piece it together with what I'm talking about.
That's my bad.
Presenter modes, move and resize options, MC 348225, published in the March 28th, is now available. It's an interesting one. We're going to demonstrate it. It arrived, started to roll out early April, completed late April for standard release. But the interesting thing about this feature, as you'll see soon, is that it's difficult to demonstrate. Let me demonstrate that very conundrum. Sorry. Or not sorry. Okay. So I've had to, and I'll just pause this, I've had to record the demonstration of this feature from my mobile pointing at my monitor. Now, why is that? Daniel, have you ever used these presenter modes before?
I have.
Yep. So we'll just play through this. And what happens when you go into presenter mode? I'm going to share some content. So I want to share like a PowerPoint. And then I'm going to use one of the presenter modes. And this screen comes up. So notice how it was small to begin with. I'm just blowing it up larger on my screen so that people can see it better in the demo. But what happens with that preview screen?
Well, that's when you're presenting, that preview screen is especially if you're using one monitor, is something that goes away because you're wanting to show, the screen and so it gets out of the way. It's trying to be smart.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, Daniel. There's a lot of people that do have to work off one screen and they're presenting. And if you have this preview of what the scene looks like with your presenter mode, you don't want it to be part of what you're actually sharing with the meeting. So this is why I had to point a camera at it, because it didn't matter what tech I was using to try and capture that screen. I think that this kind of at the graphics card level or whatever, it actually gets removed from any kind of screen sharing. So we'll just play through it, make a few comments. This is the standout mode where you can put yourself over the top. And what has changed, if you can squint your eyes at the top right-hand corner, there's a slider for changing the size. And on the left top corner is you can change which side you are using that mode on. So interesting thing with this is as you're changing the size, it grows towards the middle of your content. And you'll want to change this depending on the content that you are trying to present. This is side-by-side mode. So again, you can switch the different sides. This also is interesting too. You get to a certain point where it grows to fill it out. And as you continue the slider, it then makes the content larger and your video feed smaller. So I quite like that one, Daniel, because it makes it larger to start with, but then you can emphasize content over the presenter. Same thing, other side. Maybe I should have skipped this part. Let's do that. So here's the other one, which is reporter mode, where the content is up beside you. But interesting thing here, notice how the top of my head gets cut off somehow as you've resized that. I don't know what's going on there. I think maybe there's this frame that gets cropped. Probably shouldn't be cropping. But
No,
yeah, another engaging, interesting way of putting content together. Would you find
don't
these?
lose your head, Darrell.
No, I won't. Uh, but would you find this kind of content, these kind of features, useful when you're using a what was it called? Presenter mode?
Yeah, I think so. And Phil in the chat room also likes this one because of the, really being able to resize and get out of the way. You know, especially a mug like you. I think no, I think it's good. And I wasn't a big fan of it at the beginning because of the way it was implemented. It was all about, here you are, good luck trying to get your content usable.
Exactly.
With your face in the way, right? And so I like this better now for sure.
Yeah, you had to put your content or plan your content around where you think you were going to appear, and that just took too much thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that has arrived. Have fun with that. Have fun with that.
Have fun with that.
Yep. Daniel, there's
Yes.
something that landed with forms recently. Notice how I wasn't too fancy with the.
You didn't try very
Not at
hard
all.
with the transition. It was probably good because especially with my failing last time. So this one is forms split sending and sharing entry point MC 335638. And
Thank you for giving that number. I thought I'd favorited it.
And this is rolling out, and it should have been done. The initial target was late March, and then they moved it to late April. So you should have this in your tenant. And if you remember in forms, when you went to go share, meaning share content for people to fill out your form, or share content so that people can collaborate, meaning edit your form, it was all in the same spot. And there was a lot of complaints. In fact, I think when we covered this on the show, I mentioned there was a time when a friend of mine did this and shared for a gathering feedback, but shared a link. So everyone they sent it to had edit permissions on the form. So, and could read all of the responses, right? And so you get that kind of like, wait a minute, I clicked the wrong thing, I wasn't paying attention. So what we have is now the ability to, I'm showing a form here, and you'll notice that in the top right-hand corner, it now says collect responses. So when you click that, it is specific to that purpose. There is no get a link for collaboration or any. This is collect responses to your form. Okay, so you can select the security if anyone or specific people get the URL. You could, just get a URL. You can send an email, get the QR code to download, all of that. But that's the only thing here. So that separating that out so you don't make that mistake again. Now, if you're looking for the collaboration features, it tells you right here that you can collaborate by going to the settings, 3 dots up here, and say collaborate and duplicate. And this is where you can say, well, I want to duplicate this, so share it, create basically a template in that I can create another form based on this, or I can get a link to collaborate on it. And this would, again, allow someone to come in, make edits, build out this form, these questions, whatever, together. Also review the responses together. So you can do this. But again, it's separated. And that's the whole purpose of this message, is saying we've separated out to make it very clear that you are getting different links. I was kind of a little bit surprised when they separated these out, because this looks nothing like sharing in OneDrive and SharePoint and Teams, and it doesn't, we don't get that sharing dialogue that we've had before. But this is a different workload, right? You're creating content to present to gather this feedback in this form. So I get to collect responses. I would like this sharing to be more in line with the sharing experience that we have elsewhere. But at least it's separated, and that making that mistake will be more difficult. I'm not saying it's totally prevented, but it'll be more difficult to do.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think it well, back to your point about having that consistent sharing dialogue, I think I can see forms making use of the same choices. That would be helpful. You're creating a sharing link, you're managing a sharing link, you're sharing it with certain permissions. Maybe you're sharing it to people who already have access. I think that would be useful. Yeah.
I agree, sir. So, what would also be useful is to have a quick way to switch the account I'm using in Office 365, being able to switch from one user to another so that I can engage with different content.
Agreed. And I do this reasonably frequently on the desktop with Office on the desktop. But this message announces that you'll be able to, or you can today, switch from Microsoft 365 web apps. So if you're in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, I haven't tried any of the others, but we're going to demonstrate this. The idea is that you might be working in your work account and you might want to switch to your personal account while you're working in Word. You might also switch to a different Azure AD account. Perhaps you're helping a partner organization, or you are a consultant and you need to use a different set of credentials. So this allows you to be able to put those credentials in while you're working in an Office web app and be able to switch between them. Do you want to see it in action, Daniel?
I think we all do.
Okay,
we want to see what happens.
Well, okay.
How does this handle the tabs that are opened and all that? Let's see this.
Let's see this. Well, here I have prepared earlier. I'm signed in as Darrell from what am I called today? Modern Work Mentor, and I also my day job is at WM Reply. So I am also in Office.com, and I have opened up the Word web app. And so that will show me all the different Word documents that I've worked on recently, templates, etc. I've just signed in with a different account. And great, I can do this with another Azure AD account. So I might be working on, here you go, my demo script for Loop, and I've been plugging away at that. And then I realize, oh, that's right, there's something else that I have just thought of. I should add it to that document in my work environment. So up here in the profile photo, click over. What happens? It signs me into my yeah, this would be great, wouldn't it, Daniel? It's going to fail on me because I haven't signed into it this morning. Yeah, I could quickly do that. Let's try that again. See if I can remember my password. Thanks, people. But yeah, the interesting thing
I can read your password, but no, it's not your password. Is it capital P at SS
Push.
W?
I probably got it wrong. I changed it recently. Prompting, signing in, doing its thing. Okay, so as you're switching to that account, you know what? I just demonstrated something that you've got to keep in mind as you're using this feature.
Mm-hmm.
If you do have a timeout on your Azure AD account for security purposes, be prepared to have to sign in each time. But yeah, here I am. I've just switched over to my account here for WM Reply, and I can jump into that document. You'll notice up here, as I've done that, when I switch the account, that it has, as I open up that document, it opens another tab. So you'll see that kind of behavior as you open up the document from the office.com experience. And as I switch back, go back to Modern Work Mentor, you get the drill. I will do that now just in case I forget which account I'm in. Back to office.com. But Daniel.
And so it opened up a new tab though when you did that. What happened?
Well, no, it opened up the tab when I opened the document. So here you go. Here's tab number 4.
What happened to the on the other tabs where you had stuff opened?
Thank you for reminding me.
There we go.
If you're switching back to say, okay, well, I want to go back, and you can't. I think what you're driving at here, Daniel, is you can't have a tab open with one account and a tab open with another. It's all within the same browser profile, same session. So that switching has to be something that you will switch back when you want to work in that other account. Now, Hermine has a question here about how does it handle my many edge profiles. That drives at one point here, Daniel, doesn't it? You and I think, we prefer to use edge profiles instead of the switching.
Yeah, that is how I think how a lot of people have grown to work in this environment, where if you have multiple logins to 365, whether it's personal or work, is that you have Edge or Chrome profiles and you just switch those to when you want to work. This has nothing to do with that. This is within the current browser you're in, being able to switch those, and it would be within that browser. So I feel like I'm not entirely sure if, for those of us that have been working in Edge profiles or Chrome profiles for a while and gotten used to that, I'm not entirely sure this is for us. I don't know there is a benefit for us if that's the way we work. Now, if you're a regular user, and I don't mean that in a bad way, I'm just saying if you're the type of user that doesn't have a bunch of logins, but maybe you do, come upon, I have this other login that I want to use, then maybe that this is for you and this would work well for you. But, for those of us, I think I have, I don't know how many profiles. I think I'd be embarrassed to tell you how many profiles I have. I just clicked on it and it's really, really long. So for us, it may not be for us. Right. But for people who haven't gotten used to working like this, I think maybe it would work well.
Yeah. Maybe it's about making it more accessible for people who wouldn't work with multiple profiles, multiple browsers.
It could get confusing if you have profiles, you're using profiles in Chrome or Edge, and then you start switching accounts like this.
Oh, no, I wouldn't use the two together. No way. I prefer to have, that's my window where I'm working with that client, that tenant, etc. Daniel,
speaking of Power BI.
Yes. Well, we didn't, but we are now.
I'm just trying a new way of doing a transition. Did it work?
That was very forceful.
Speaking of Power BI, this is upgrading V1 Power BI workspaces, MC352621. We talked about this very recently, that Microsoft was going to go through and upgrade all V1 workspaces in Power BI and begin that work April 27th. And it's already starting to go. And it'll keep going through. Another aspect of this was if you have any empty V1s, version 1 workspaces, they're going to delete those. So if you, on May 15th, so if you want to exempt that, go ahead and go back to watch our show and we'll tell you how to exempt that. But today I just wanted to show you how you can, what the experience is like, and remind you of a couple things that you need to keep in mind. So let's switch to my desktop. Here's my desktop. So you're going to get an email letting you know when each one of these have been upgraded. And so here is my email for the leadership workspace and saying, hey, it's been upgraded. And that's what this is all about. And it lets you click to learn more about what's going on, or you can open it up. So let's go to Power BI, and this is the leadership workspace, and it doesn't look too much different than what it was before. But remember that there's some differences, and we talked about this in the show. But there's some differences with the V1s and V2s. Things like you can't create content packs anymore, and it's not directly tied to 365 groups. Okay, so I think one is if you had any content packs, then you need to go and create some apps, right? And that's a different way of sharing our content in our workspaces, and Power BI is using those, creating apps. The other is making sure that your access is set up correctly. Okay, and because we're managing this differently, making sure that when it was converted, that all the permissions are set the way you want them to. You can hover over the person's name and it'll show their login, making sure their permission is correct. And if you need to change it, then you can change that here. You can just easily add groups, so you can still use 365 groups. You just add them here, put the permissions that you want them to have, and add it. Okay, so that's those are the two biggest things you need to keep in mind when working with these workspaces. Does that make sense, Darrell? Are you gonna now go in and check all your workspaces?
Oh, Daniel, that I work in workspaces 50% of the day. So no, you're the one that's bringing me up to speed with this one.
The last thing I'll say before I turn this over to you for our last item, which is all about Viva Insights, and is I'd like for everyone to stop right now what you're doing and click the thumbs up on the video, or if you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube, click the thumbs up. And if you're listening to the podcast, go ahead and give us a like in your podcast app and give us a follow. Okay.
Appreciate that. Yep.
Yeah, indeed.
So Viva Viva Insights. And this is being able to enroll in the focus plan via the Insights app and Teams, MC336856. Announced in February. It's now here. I went through this process, Daniel. I'm going to take us through it again just to show you what this is like, because remember, it used to be called My Analytics. You could access it from a panel in Outlook. You could go to a app within the app launcher and you'd land in My Analytics and you could see some insights for, actually the word insights wasn't even used in that point. So let's have a look at this in action. We have Microsoft Teams, and we have the Insights app, which if you don't have it on your app rail, you can search for it and find it. And this is the freemium version. I haven't had to pay a license. It's included as part of my e-subscription. So I get some insights, personal insights available to me. And we've had the Protect Time tab. It's now showing an option to set up focus time or to enroll in a focus plan. So that's the topic that I'm looking at. Let's go through it, get started. I want to enroll in focus plan. I want to give myself 2 hours a day. Sounds good. Maybe I'll choose morning or afternoon. So I get to choose when. I prefer to have my focus time in the afternoon, so I'm accessible for people in the mornings. I definitely want to mute notifications. Looks good. Okay, so I have enrolled in that. And what will happen is, maybe I should just flip back over to here and try and find how quickly this works. Office.com, Outlook.com. And then just jump into my calendar as well. Okay. That'll teach me fun for times. Using one of those. Yeah, fun times. Okay. So I expect to see, yeah, there we go. Some blocks of time there. Focus time. It has added me to a plan, and it will schedule, I believe it was every 2 weeks. So it'll only schedule as far as 2 weeks ahead. Yeah, that's right. So back over to here. What I found when I did this in my work account, where I spend most of my day, was the 2-hour block wasn't really sitting where I wanted it to be. And in fact, it was getting a bit annoying to manage. And so rather than being on a plan where this was happening for me automatically, I wanted to just have this manual control over it and just book the time when I felt I needed it. So I could just look ahead, plan, put a block of time there and signal to people that I'm in focus time. I couldn't find anywhere to unenroll or remove myself, leave from the focus plan within this experience, Viva Insights. And try as I might, I went into Outlook. I tried to find it also in the panel, couldn't find it. Guess what, Daniel? If you want to leave the focus plan, it's not referenced here. You have to go into...
It's like Hotel California.
Yeah, you can check out any time of light. My analytics. I might be getting it wrong here. .microsoft.com. Diddly. Signs me in, or will sign me in. And it's from here that I can go into the focus plan. Focus. Come on now. Load up. Okay. First run experience was blocking me from doing anything. But it's in here that I can go in and choose to leave the plan. So that's up over here, plan configuration, and leave the plan.
Yep.
Why? Give us your feedback.
I think that's... don't you feel like this is just one of those things that'll catch up?
It will. Yeah. Just like this very feature is about catching up and saying you can manage your focus plan, your focus time from Teams. I think that we will see it eventually allow us to leave the plan and access more of these things. Yeah. But it's my recommendation is just use this piece up here about book and focus time for now, until you maybe see. Well, let's see if we can go view. What? How about that?
Yes. See.
How about that?
You're an influencer.
I'm an influencer. It's almost like they heard me preparing for the show and delivered this feature on Monday US time, Tuesday New Zealand time. There it is.
There it is.
Leave the plan.
It's a nice little
I'm happy
button
now.
There now. There you go.
Yeah.
You're an influencer. See, we sent out information, via the show saying, here's what we're going to cover. And they said, we better get that in. So now, for those in the podcast listening, the whole explanation Darrell just gave you still works, yes, but there's now a nice little button up there that says, leave this plan when you're viewing it in Viva Insights.
Yep, Viva Insights, you'll go to your Protect Time tab, you'll go to View Focus Plan Preferences, and now you've got the ability to change, leave the plan.
Nice.
In fact, some of those things as I stepped through about choosing the size of the focus block or morning, afternoon, all of that were quite new. So I was wondering, I wonder if they have fixed this. Yeah, pretty funny. But that's enough of that. I think I take back my grumpiness. I step down off my
Don't be so
soapbox.
grumpy.
When
you're an influencer, when you're an influencer like Darrell, you got to remember people. Don't be grumpy, because all you have to do is say what you want, and it'll just happen.
All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Influencers who say, you really should let me stay at your hotel for free. Is that what you meant?
Oh, I've never had that work, so I guess
I'm never asked.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. I hope, give us some feedback on the whole callback concept. It is true that there wasn't a lot of messages in there today that we wanted to cover, and so this really naturally fell into this slot, but we'd like to hear your feedback on did you like the callbacks and everything, but also making sure, please, that you like and subscribe, ring the bell, that you make sure you follow us, and please share on social. 365 MCS. Sandy, who is one of our frequent watchers and listeners shared, and she got a lot of engagement on Twitter last week. So do you want a lot of engagement? Do you want to bring up your ratio on your posts in the socials? Then go ahead, share this episode out, and you'll get it.
And we're thankful for that too. It's cool to be able to continue the conversation after the meeting.
Indeed.
Oh, that's a whole other topic.
That is indeed. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye for now.
Bye for now.